On July 23, 1983, Air Canada Flight 143, a Boeing 767, was cruising at 41,000 feet when Captain Robert Pearson and First Officer Maurice Quintal faced every pilot's worst nightmare. The aircraft's fuel gauges suddenly stopped working, and within minutes, both engines went completely silent. The massive passenger jet, carrying 69 people, had run out of fuel at cruising altitude. Captain Pearson remained remarkably calm despite the dire situation. As an experienced pilot with over 15,000 flight hours, he knew every decision in the next few minutes would mean the difference between life and death. The cockpit was eerily quiet without the usual hum of engines, and warning lights flashed across the instrument panel like a Christmas tree. What made this situation even more incredible was the reason behind the fuel shortage. During pre-flight preparations in Montreal, a miscalculation had occurred. Canada had recently switched to the metric system, but the fuel calculations were done in the old imperial system. Instead of loading 22,300 kilograms of fuel, they had loaded 22,300 pounds, less than half the required amount. As the aircraft began its silent descent, Pearson recalled something from his past that would prove crucial. Before becoming an airline pilot, he had experience as a glider pilot. This seemingly unrelated skill was about to save 69 lives. He knew he had to maintain the perfect glide ratio of 12-to-1. For every mile of altitude, the aircraft could glide 12 miles forward. The situation grew more challenging when the aircraft's electronic systems began to fail. Without engine power, the primary hydraulic systems were inoperative. The landing gear would have to be lowered manually, and they would have only one chance to land. There would be no possibility of a go-around. Pearson and Quintal initially aimed for Winnipeg Airport, but quickly realized they wouldn't make it. That's when Quintal remembered something: the Gimli Air Force Base, a former Royal Canadian Air Force facility. What they didn't know was that the base had been converted into a racing track, and a family event was taking place that day. As they approached Gimli, Pearson faced another challenge. The 767 was coming in twice as fast as a normal landing speed. Without engine power, he couldn't use thrust reversers or spoilers to slow the aircraft. He executed a maneuver known as a forward slip, a technique common in gliders but almost never used in commercial aircraft. This involved turning the aircraft slightly, while using the rudder to keep it lined up with the runway, creating drag to slow their descent. The landing gear dropped by gravity, but without hydraulic power, the nose wheel hadn't locked into place. As the aircraft touched down, the nose slammed onto the runway, sending sparks flying. The aircraft skidded down the runway, its nose scraping along the tarmac. Families attending the racing event scattered as the massive airliner came to a stop just a few hundred feet from where they had been standing. Remarkably, not a single person was injured. Captain Pearson's exceptional airmanship had turned what should have been a certain disaster into a miracle. The aircraft was later repaired and returned to service, nicknamed the Gimli Glider by aviation enthusiasts. The aftermath of the incident led to significant changes in Air Canada's procedures. The fuel quantity indicating system was modified, and fueling procedures were standardized to use only metric measurements. Captain Pearson's actions became a case study in aviation schools worldwide, demonstrating how remaining calm under pressure and applying unconventional solutions can save lives. Pearson would reflect on that day with characteristic modesty. "We were just doing our job," he would say. "We had good training, good luck, and everything worked out." The Gimli Glider incident remains one of the most remarkable examples of airmanship in aviation history, showcasing how one person's skill, experience, and calm demeanor can make the difference between disaster and survival.